Hey music fans, as a roadie I had this great opportunity to tour with all these bands. I wrote a book about my experiences on the road and it was the #1 new release on Amazon and Bios and it's now sold millions of copies on Kindle. I'm Joel Roadie and this is my podcast, Party Like a Rock Star. Thought I'd have a little bit of fun here on April Fool's Day, and I hit up some people that I care about, people that are involved in my podcast. In this case, Mr. Rocko Reedy, who so many of you really enjoyed his reactions, and so I thought he'd be a fun person to bring on board for this here April Fool's Day. The concept I had was to kind of switch gears, and instead I'm the person who is watching the video and the other person's the reactor. In this case, Rocko chose Dimash. He's become a Dimash fan, so it's a bit of fun. If you guys want to learn a little bit more about Rocko, you can check out his YouTube channel right here. He's a very big stage manager. He's very important in the rock and roll industry. I toured with U2 for many, many years. Aerosmith, STYX, lots and lots of other bands. So he's a great guy. I really do hope you enjoy this episode. I hope everybody has an awesome April Fool's Day. And I look forward to seeing you guys all on the next one. Thank you.
Oh, hi, Joel. How you doing, buddy? I didn't see you there. What the fuck? You snuck up on me.
I've been growing this way. Yeah. I don't know.
Right. You're big in showbiz. You're big in showbiz. That's all right. Yeah.
So the idea of this one was is to do an April Fool's type episode, and so I'm glad.
What's April Fool's?
April Fool's Day is one of the fun days. It's where I think the day actually represents where you have a bit of fun, you pull a funny on someone you care about. That to me is what April Fool's Day is. Something lighthearted. I'm not a very aggressive guy, but on this one I thought it'd be fun to kind of trick everybody and do a role reversal. And so I asked you to come on. I appreciate you coming on, and the idea is for you to run the roost. You chose.
I was going to say that's not my understanding. All I heard you say was I'm in charge.
Yeah, I'm the guy to tell you what to do. When would you listen? No, I'd be afraid to tell you what to do. But you did select the track here. You told me what to pull up.
Yeah, I got to say I had never heard of Dimash before I did the one episode with you where we looked at it, and I was completely blown away. I mean, in my opinion, the greatest singers in music, not necessarily rock or country or whatever, but the greatest singers are people like Robert Plant and Freddie Mercury and, all the great singing, the David Bowie, all the people through the years who just had incredible voices. But this guy's voice was it was beyond what you think a human is capable of. It's what you would think an angel could sing like, but just his command of not only his voice but his performance. He emotes the song and makes you feel the emotion. I was almost in tears sometimes. So, and needless to say, I started going down the rabbit hole of this guy's career, and it's amazing. And the most incredible thing to me, and I think a lot of people as well, because it's a big planet we're on, and you and I are fortunate in that we've been able to go around it for years and years. I mean, I've been to every continent except Antarctica, and I kind of want to keep it that way because it's a little cold down there, but you never know. But there's tons of artists, and I've worked for a lot of artists on the other side of the planet that people here where I live have never heard of before. And the same with this. I was telling people about that. I actually put it on my Facebook page when I did this and put it on there, and people were just blown away. Not so much that that this guy was such an incredible singer, but in the age that we live in of social media and the internet and all that they had never heard of him before. Because he's just so, it's bar none. And I think I'm a pretty good judge to be able to say this. I think he's the greatest singer ever.
Really?
Oh God, yeah. I'm that blown away by his talent and his ability and his control, and just his songs aren't necessarily my cup of tea, but I'm an old hippie, so it's
yeah.
but I also recognize just the ability of, even though I'm not a fan of classical music, I can recognize the tone of a Stradivarius. Just that it's such an incredible instrument, and his voice being his instrument is just incredible. Not only that he has this, because physically, I would love to see what's going on down in his throat there, because he's got to have the biggest voice box ever. Well, to be able to hit those low notes, but you can't take the same vocal cord and stretch it that tight. So he has to have multiple vocal cords and spread between. But I don't hear any gaps. It's like when you go into a falsetto, you're switching vocal cords, and it's a hard shift without using the clutch for most people. But that guy was just Dimash is just I can't say enough about the guy.
Okay, cool, man. That's awesome. That's neat. I'm glad.
Although I don't like his shoes. His shoes got to go.
Oh, okay. Elvis has the cool shoes.
Yeah, well, yeah, blue suede, no, but there you go.
Hey.
But I've dug into it a little bit, and I picked out a song of his where he plays with Igor. You say Igor, I say Igor, but a very famous piano player. And I picked this just because it represents just the massive amount of talent this guy has.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Wonderful. All right. Well, let's give it a go then, and we'll see what we got.
Do I get to hit and go since I'm in charge?
Yeah, man. Here, you gotta rewind it.
Okay, you rewind it and I'll hit go. That way we're working together.
Hit go.
All right, here we go.
Fatta per
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's not the greatest singer ever.
Nope.
Jeez, are you kidding me? Yeah, come on. That last note, I was getting emotional over. It's just an amazing man. But the one thing I was thinking of is he was hitting all those notes and going between the lower range and the higher ranges. You know, I mean, without blowing my own horn, I've worked with the greatest singers ever. I've worked with Pavarotti. I've worked with, Bono. I've worked with, all of these guys. Who could this guy do a duet with?
He has done a couple duets.
No, but I'm just saying, any popular singer from the Western world, Western culture, our land of rock and roll and whatever,
yeah,
wouldn't have the guts to get up and sing with this guy without being blown off the stage. With the exception of, of certain female singers, Tina Turner, for example, if she was still singing, she has the dynamic range and the performance ability to be able to. Madonna, not so much. You know what I'm saying?
Madonna. I would love Cyndi Lauper. I love Cyndi Lauper. I'll bet.
And she's got the range to be able to do that.
Got this wonderful range. Yeah. I'll bet it would be killer.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see it because I'd love, and now I feel like this is my guy. This is my secret that I let my friends know. Hey, you want to see something cool? And yeah.
So I have seen this before. I play it for guests, to be honest with you. And
okay,
is because I feel it really displays his vocal abilities, but also, and he's charming, and his conviction on singing this track is there. It's very evident, and that's why I like it. If I this is supposed to be but I do have one question, even though you can ask whatever, but I have one. So I love also, from the stage perspective, the stage here is cool as hell. There's a lot going on. And so what do you think on that? I mean, how many trucks would this be? This is a lot going on.
That was what impressed me about this. It's not expensive. But
it's just creative.
It's just some scaffolding. And the thing with the roadies with the lights, I'm stealing that trick. That was brilliant. And what did that cost them? A bunch of AA batteries.
And then you have.
But it looks so cool. Yeah,
it looks so cool. Then you have the 4 performers in different clothing attire. Again, inexpensive and looks so good. It's just very, very creative. I love it.
Well, and I love too that it keeps him as the focal point without, because so many times, and I got to say, I went out and saw U2 at the Sphere, and I'm sure you and a lot of viewers have seen video of it, if not having seen it in person, and it's so overwhelming. The production is that it almost doesn't matter who's on stage, but I mean, obviously everybody in the audience is there to see it, but you find yourself not looking at the stage, you're looking at the production around it. And that's why I don't like when a production overshadows an artist. I like when it complements them, when it makes them look cool. But if it's just, too big and they're standing there staring at their toes while all this shit's going down, it's like, to me, that's not entertaining. But I love how he is a focal point there, but he doesn't, he's not trying to impress anybody with his choreography moves. He's not, jumping around like, whatever. But he's got good choreography going on without it being overstated. I love everything about what he's doing going on here because it looks big as fuck. It looks Hollywood and all the rest of that stuff, but it looked like it cost hundreds of dollars, not millions of dollars, and that impresses me. That's what, when I'm making my own videos, my budget is, $50, but I've done videos before where I literally had a budget of $1 million. And it's great to have all of that firepower in your toolbox, but at the bottom line, it comes down to it's the artist, their performance, and their music, and that's what matters.
Sure.
He could have done that same thing with nobody on stage, with just one light next to him, and still blown everybody away. And that to me is the core of what his talent and dimension is. Do you happen to know how old is this guy is?
I think he's getting close to 30 now.
Yeah, he's a kid.
He's really young.
I got shoelaces older than him.
Yeah.
but it's, and just considering that, thinking about, where will he go from here? And, 'cause obviously he loves the stuff that he's doing, but the stuff that he's doing wouldn't play on, I was going to say on American radio, but American radio sucks and nobody plays music on the radio. But just, as far as what would be the venue that he could be presented in and,
Mhm.
become marketable. And I could be wrong, but just from what I've seen of him in a very limited look at his career, I think he's playing stuff that he wants to play, as
Yeah,
opposed to singing things that he feels he needs to, which is great.
I
I
would agree with
love
that.
that. I mean, you can see it in the passion on his face. You can't put that on, or if you do, then you're a great actor. And
Yeah,
there are a lot of great actors out there, but I think he's absolutely genuine in his presentation of himself.
cool. Well, I'm glad you selected this. I'm glad you like this guy so much too. That's cool.
Yeah,
And hope you enjoy
yeah,
continuing to explore his catalog.
yeah. So I have to ask you a question. I'm looking over your left shoulder and seeing what looks like a print of your book, Memoir of a Roadie. May I
Yeah.
ask you a personal question?
Yeah, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I don't like the term roadie, me
I
personally.
know you don't. I know. Yeah.
Well, to me, it's like calling, a basketball team the Cleveland Colored Boys. It's not politically correct to refer to someone as a roadie. To me, it brings a connotation of carny. But then again, whenever I try and describe what we do, and I'm sure you run into the same thing, you try and describe what we do for a living to someone who's not in the business, and they have no idea what you're talking about.
It's
Yeah.
difficult. Yeah, I try to keep it to a bare minimum usually because otherwise it just keeps going with more and more questions. What is a backline? Well,
Well, no, but I mean, even just the simplest things, like you just asked me at the end of the performance there, how many trucks of production I thought that was.
yeah,
You'd be
yeah.
surprised at how many people, and I think it would be a number well above 50%, even in today's world, that come to a show thinking all of that stuff that is part of the production is just something they have in the back room that they drag out whenever a show comes to
They
town,
probably
and they
do.
hang it up and hang some light. And and then the guy walks in the back door with his guitar going, "Where do I plug in?" They have no clue as to, and in a way, I don't want people to know too much about it, because it's like telling how the magician saws the lady in half. I don't want them to understand all of the stuff behind it. I just want them to enjoy the magic of the
Yeah.
performance that's going on. But I'm curious, how did you become a roadie?
So my father was a car mechanic and he specialized in Jaguar cars. And so there's a guy named Lee Gibson. Lee is a lighting designer. I don't know if you would have heard with Lee, but Lee did Stone Temple Pilots, Santana, Rob Zombie,
Hmm.
um, stuff like that. So anyway, he needed to get his car fixed and he ended up hiring a Joel. He ended up getting me. My dad said, "You got to hire him." I had worked in the film industry for a little bit. I was doing art department. I was putting stuff up in the walls and whatnot on the sets. And they just needed a runaround guy. They needed a young guy to do a little bit of everything because we were doing festivals at the time. And so they had me do a bit of lighting, bit of carpentry. I'm
And this
terrible.
was with who?
Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh, okay.
First tour. Yeah, I didn't do a van tour. I went straight to the big leagues, really.
Same
And
here too. Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
never played the clubs, never did support act stuff. I started right with STYX. Boom.
yeah, it was a boom. And then I realized pretty quickly this was a gig that I didn't want to screw up. It was a really cool opportunity. I also realized that the people that were surrounding me, they didn't give a crap if I got fired, if I stayed or whatever. So it took me time, and I appreciate that I had to work for it to kind of get into everybody's respect,
Yeah.
and eventually I did. And then Scott Weiland fell on the stage. Someone had thrown up like a soda bottle or something. It was like Pepsi can or something. And he slipped, right? And so he was going to, he looked over at the bass tech, pissed off. And the bass tech's like, dude, not my rodeo. And so I looked and I thought the bass tech was going to get fired. So I went into the band's bus at the end and I hadn't talked to them very much. I was still like just a few weeks in. And so I went in there and I remember them all looking at me like, what does this guy want to say to us? Like, or don't you have things to do? And I said, I just want you guys to know that the bass tech had asked me to watch the stage because he was fixing a guitar. And I was such a bad liar. It was so bad. They were so and that's why you fell because I wasn't doing my job. It wasn't him. But my head space was like, this guy's career. I had just got lectured by Charlie Hernandez, who Charlie, and
Very well.
Charlie was saying, this is a career, kid, and you have to focus. You got to be on it. So I didn't want this guy to lose his career, and I'd already had some fun. I figured out maybe this was my way out. But they didn't fire me. They ended up saying, okay, you're now the stage manager. You're in charge of the stage. And so Doug Weiss, who I'm sure obviously Doug, and then Charlie, and then Maxie Williams, all these guys started to teach me how to raise through the ranks. And I liked it. And I liked being in touch with all of the people in all the cities. And, how's your family? And they were always like, wow, you really care? Like, you out? Yeah, I care. I've seen you like 8 times in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And I just the PNC Art Center became like one of my favorite venues because there were all family working there. It was grandkids and everything. And I just started really immersing myself in this gig. I thought it was awesome. So that's the long story, but
No, but that's very interesting because I know of so many people in the way they got started in the business. I know how I got started in the business, but you also can well imagine there's a lot of people who got their start not unlike you, but just starting from grassroots level, but getting thrust into the big time just because of circumstances.
it was
And
just that for
yeah,
me. That's what it was.
yeah,
There were
exactly.
festivals that, you've got a small rig, which, sorry guys, means you don't have a lot on the stage. There's not a lot there. We were 2 trucks. And
Yeah,
so you don't need a huge crew. You need a little crew that does the job well. And so we were that for a while. And then we
yeah.
jumped into
But
Oz.
there's also a lot of people who it will eat them up and spit them out.
Yeah.
Whether it's through self-abuse, whether it's through just the time and effort and
And I
physicality.
was witness to it. I saw people come and go and no one cared. They just, in the morning, you've got the ticket underneath their door. See ya.
Yeah,
People are asking to borrow your per diem. You're on your way out, man.
yeah.
And so it was a doggy. And I saw it. I'd look at the guy like, dude, don't give him your money, bro. It means you're getting fired tomorrow. And I didn't want to tell the guy because then it's like, bro, what the heck? So it was all these things that honestly, they toughened me up, Rocco. They really did. And they made me appreciate so much, not just being tough, but also how important the arts are and how wonderful the music industry is and how cool some of these older roadies are, man. It's not all what you read in a book, it's what you learn in the world in addition to what you read in books. There's just a lot of life to live. And
Uh-huh.
it was cool stuff. It really was. So that's why I spent so much time on this, is because I love it and I get to talk to guys like you. When I first started out, I was afraid of you guys. And then as I learned more about the industry, I was just humbled that you guys would even like sit down and have lunch with me. And I wanted to learn. I wanted to sponge off of you guys and learn everything about this, everything.
Well, there you go. Some men strive to achieve greatness, others have it shoved up their ass.
There you go, man. Well, I appreciate everything. I appreciate you. I hope you have a fantastic April Fool's Day. And
Uh-huh.
we'll have to bring you back on as you continue to explore Dimash's catalog. Maybe we'll do another Dimash track someday. Maybe I'll give you a couple suggestions of stuff to check out. But it seems like you're
Uh,
doing well on your own. This is a good track.
it is a good track, but I like the arena of artists that people don't necessarily know who they are, but should.
But should it makes it fun, and it also I'm the stuff I do is international mostly, and that I personally enjoy so much better. I don't want to hear English. I want to hear your native tongue. I love that stuff. It's another
What
instrument. It's another level. It's
and
curiosity.
it also, in just in watching the audience, for example, in this last video there, they didn't look like they were from Russia. They didn't look like they were from Japan. They didn't look like they were from Schenectady. They just looked like human beings having a good time.
Having a good time, yeah.
And that's the part of the international music scene that I really love. I worked for a guy in Germany called Marius Müller-Westernhagen that I'm sure you've never heard of. But it was in 1995, and they brought me in. I was the only American on the tour. They brought me in because I had done U2 big shows. And this guy was doing huge stadium shows, selling out 3 nights in 60,000 seat stadiums, but only in Germany because he sings in German. He was kind of like a German Phil Collins kind of guy. And he had all the top shelf players. He had McCartney's drummer. He had, the guy, David Bowie's bass player, all these different great top players. And he's singing all auf Deutsch in German, And I got along great with him, but it was fun to just see how it's the same. It doesn't matter where you're from. People all over the planet are basically the same. Yeah. 2 things matter: your health and your family. Yeah. If you got a problem money can solve, you got no problem, because the whole world operates on credit anyway. So, but it's just, and we work in a business, the common denominator here is happiness. There are exceptions to that rule. I used to work for Marilyn Manson. He tried to piss his audience off every show, but that was his shtick. But just as far as when people come out and go to a big rock show, it almost doesn't matter what kind of music. They're there for one thing: to impress the opposite sex, to get completely blotto out of their minds. No, but no, they're there. They're there to have a good time.
Yeah. Too true. All right.
No, but it's been that way since the Christians and the Lions. People come out to just get fucked up and puke. When you go up the stairs in a stadium or an arena or something like that, you know what they call the opening at the top of the stairs there? They call it the vomitory. You know why?
I don't know if I want it. Why?
Because when you were in, the Christians and the Lions era, you would drink and then go running up, but they didn't want people puking in the seats there. So they go up there to the vomitory and puke, So, and that's the name stuck,
It's really called that.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were winding me up. All right.
Oh, no. Vomitory.
Huh. I'm going to look it up now and be like, you got me.
I'm full of useless information. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you. And we'll have to bring you back if everybody likes you. We'll bring you back again. Actually, even if they don't like you, I'll bring you back again.
I'll come back then. My next project, just so you know, is here in Ohio where I live. On April 8th, there's going to be a total eclipse of the sun. 72-mile wide path where it'll go from total daylight to complete darkness for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. 4:20, dude. And I'm going to shoot my next music video at this structure that looks like a huge Roman Colosseum kind of place, a big marble, what's the word I'm looking for? Columns.
Yeah.
And I'm going to shoot it, and I'm going to do a cover of Pink Floyd's Eclipse.
Cool, man.
The lunatic is on the grass.
You'll have to let me know if the columns are Doric, Ionic, or Corinthian. There's the random trivia. There's the random for you.
Stand by. Stand by. You can tell me.
All right. On the next episode of All right, Rocko. Thank you, bud.
All right, pal. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, the podcast is over. What are you still doing here? Well, while you're here, like and subscribe. Thanks.